Hey, 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 what's up, everybody? Oh man, it's good to have you. It's good to have you. I'm not sure who is in the room, but here we are. We're back. I first want to say thank you for your time this evening and joining me as we go within, right? As we go within. Let's see who's in the room. Who's in the room? Miss Grace, thank you so much. It's good to have you. You guys like and share this post as we continue to grow together as a community, right? Thank you so much, Miss Gloria. What a wonderful time we had last Saturday when you came and visited. It was a wonderful, beautiful time. We will do it again. Mother, yes, it's good to have you. Good to have you, Mrs. Smith. Thank you so much. I haven't forgot about you. Still have something special for you. 100%. And of course, Dr. Dorothy Parker. She's a wonderful, wonderful person, wonderful lady that has been in my life. We spend a lot of time together, working together on developing each other, this as we on this quest for expanded consciousness, right? That's for later. For expanding our consciousness, right? Most of us, we don't quite, I guess, know or really truly understand. We know it means something, but just because we talk about it a lot, I talk about it a lot. I just want you to kind of grasp and understand as you set intention, right? I read a lot of books, and I'm going to me and Miss Dorothy we talk a lot, and so I'm gonna get a lot of things fired up and go for it. And book club, of course, and I pretty much know the first one is going to be The Flip. It's a wonderful book. For me, it's not just the books that change your life, but it's the information, it's the experience, and especially if you get the right information and you get the right books can. I mean, I was having a conversation earlier with someone, and I actually can say that, whether a person likes it or not. I remember growing up and reading the Bible, and nothing would make me fall asleep more than reading the Bible at 12 and 13 and 14. I just couldn't do it. And I was just forcing myself. And back then, I mean, pretty much all you had was the King James. And then they try to give you some NIV and children Bibles. And it still sucked. That's all. Hey, Miss Stana, it's good to have you. It's so good to have you. Thank you for coming and being a part. Like, we have such a beautiful, wonderful community. Like, the people that show up on this day is the people. It's like one of the biggest reasons why it really helps. Yes. That book, The Flip, I'm telling you, it's a book that's related to somewhat science, but it's also related to the biggest thing that is related to is humanities, is related to us, is related to, us being superhumans, us being divine, us connecting to source, us connecting to a deeper level of who we are. But how do we do this? Give us the roadmap. And that's what this is doing. It's going to give us the roadmap. Hey, Miss Velma. There's certain people that's been with me since I was connected to Bishop Carlton Pearson. And I appreciate everyone that is here. Dr. Joel Brown, we had a wonderful conversation. He is a beautiful, wonderful person that is a part of this community that I want to lift up. He is a wonderful, wonderful person. Right? We have a it's beautiful. We have a physician in the room, Jamaica, Jamaican, right? But I love everything about you and what you represent, and being a part of this community is hopefully it's something that can uh, allow you to be free, allow you to be connected. I'm connecting with people that are a part of the community. And it's one thing that Bishop and I really, really wanted to do was really connect to community and connect to people, and to not just have this, this throne that we sit from. Of course, I love to teach and talk. And of course, I'll probably do that. I got some new stuff that, we'll probably do the flip. And, but being able to give people, um, some platform, and you guys are wonderful, amazing people. Like, you are an amazing person with an amazing experience. What we have this evening is going to be a blessing for you. um I'll talk about that here soon. Hey, greetings, greetings. Thank you for being here. Right? And I think I know I seen brother Ruben. I had to come back and give my shout out to my brother. Yes, yes, brother Ruben. Yes, all the way from Illinois, kind of the Chicago area. So, what we have for this evening, guys, is something special to me. Um, I it was kind of a an experience where you know we understand and we go through. All of us will go through our journey, spiritual journey, and especially a lot of us, we've been connected to church in some kind of way as we expand. And when you are in that atmosphere or in that space, especially if you're a musician, singer, songwriter, or if you are a part of that production, if you will, it's something that you really connect to. It's something that really resonates with you when you connect, when you do music, right? And so, I don't know if I could find the particular video, but I had a video, and basically, brother Titus was doing a Kojic song with some sound bowls. I said, okay, sound bowls come from this environment. Kojic, and he wasn't doing the full song; he was just doing part of it. And so it really intrigued me. I was like, okay, so this is neat. This is affirmation music. This is where we're able to change some of the change some of the experience and expression that we had, and kind of make it for us. So check this out. This was really, really neat. I'm gonna hopefully, yes. Check this out.
I'm lost without you. I'm lost without you.
I think that's so cool. Beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? We may take a journey and go deeper into that, but we in this space have to be creators, co-creators. There's something, this new thing that's moving as in this expansion of consciousness, right? This expanded version of who we are. We are the ones that are going to have to take this to a whole nother plane, a whole nother. space. We've done this for hundreds of years. The church creating music and using different instruments, and now it's time to shapeshift, right? Y'all ready for that? We got book. One of the things I'll tell you about all the people that have stuck around and followed me, a lot of you guys are creators. A lot of you people are on a whole different level of this experience and this expression. You guys are ready. You ready to take action? You ready to write books? You ready to do music? You are either ready or you are doing it. And you know what? Amongst this community, as we do what we do, we're going to actually expand and we're going to continue to grow. And so, without further ado, I'd just love to bring my brother Titus Glenn, who has worked with many people, many artists that you would definitely know. And I had him send me a bio, and this guy's he's experienced worship leader for 2 decades, and now he has undergone a profound spiritual awakening, involving into a conscious worship leader. He's a gifted singer, songwriter, and music creator. I sit there and watched, and he created a new song every day, I believe, for 30 days. He's passionate about transformation and transforming the atmosphere in which we're in. And he acts as a conduit for internal healing and personal transformation. Drawing from his spiritual journey, Titus recognizes the profound impact of consistency in spiritual practice. He utilizes his talents, including light language and songwriting and music, to support others in their healing journey. And that is his mission, to guide individuals to wholeness and self-discovery. Currently, right now, guys, he is completing his master's degree. And he's also enrolled in an ordination program for spiritual consciousness under none other than the Reverend Dr. Ayana Van Zandt. So he's dedicated to being and becoming all of who he is. And guess what, guys? You're going to witness the expansion, right? As we all come together, because I got nothing but stars in the room. I promise you, people I meet, I mean, Miss Gloria came this weekend and she's got a book titled Black Bitch. No, it was Bottom Bitch. It sounds crazy, right? Bottom Bitch. But it's talking about the experience. She's a 70-something-year-old Black woman, and she's experienced something from being at the bottom of a ship all the way up to who she is today. She's been through various belief systems, Islam. And so I got some Miss Dorothy Parker. I got some wonderful people. Who is Miss Dorothy? You working on the religious Black? She's gonna get me for it, but it's the Center for Black Religious Trauma and Abuse. Yes, type it in the thing. That's a part of expanded consciousness. I'm not gonna let you get away with that. Anyways, come on, y'all. Let's go ahead and welcome to the stage, brother Titus Glenn.
What's up,
What's up?
Malachi? What's up, everybody that's in the chat? What's up, everybody?
Yes. It's good to have you, bro. It's good to have you.
Man, when I say I'm honored to be here, I am honored to be here. I have been a fan of Bishop Carlton Pearson, and to see you alongside him and to get the phone call, to me, this is just, it's powerful to just see God do what God is doing.
Yes. Since you do what you do, right, we're gonna go ahead and just warm this thing up.
Okay.
we're gonna set some intention here, right?
Okay.
Usually we do this at the end. Can you hear that?
I can.
go ahead and set this off right, and open this up, right, with that voice and wherever you feel is go, just for a couple of just
Just
give
for a
us 60
couple.
seconds.
I invite everybody to just close your eyes and just begin to focus your attention on your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. And whatever intention that you want to put in the atmosphere, in your mind, in your heart, just begin to whisper it silently out loud, or just in your head. Spirit, you're welcome here. Spirit, you're welcome here. And in this moment, I'm just going to speak a little light language because it's in the atmosphere. So, Mother, Father, God, we thank you for the peace that's in this room. We thank you for every heart and every mind being in sync with what it is that needs to be said for our healing and our own personal development. We thank you for the abundance that's going to hit us by way of joy, peace, and love. And I just thank you for just overtaking us in this conversation. And we let it be so, and so it is. Ashe.
Yes. Thank you so much. One of the things that I do, the reason why I do this, is not just to have a platform, but it's the fact that we are here for healing.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go to the church, and we would go to the church has had the ability for years to be in this world. We have mind, body, and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And really, technically, I believe it's really spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Soul, right? Mind and body.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit just is.
Absolutely.
With or without without us, spirit just
Absolutely.
is, right? And our soul connects to the spirit, right? And along with our mind and body, but we have to get these things aligned. And what has happened over the years is the reason why we have to expand. What has happened over the years is we've come to a new understanding, right? And we're coming into a deeper awareness and understanding. A lot of us are going through deconstructing.
Mm-hmm.
But as Miss Dorothy Parker will talk about, like deconstructing, but also as Black people, we need to decolonize to deconstruct. Decolonize.
Absolutely.
How do we deconstruct something we didn't really construct, even though it's constructed in our lives?
I love that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to think that's the reason why you have this Christian nationalism, is because of the fact that it's a construct, even though a lot of people like us don't necessarily fit into the full narrative, but a lot of our practices. But anyways, tell us a little bit of your story of this guy has a worship CD. I'm kind of dating. He has a worship album that's on Spotify that is completely amazing. Who have you worked with as far as some writing? That you've done some writing for some gospel artists for sure.
Yes, for sure. So the album, actually, just speaking of the Worshipper's Corner, I recorded a song called Leaning that Marvin Sapp re-recorded when he did his I Win album, and it made it to the exclusive album. And then I had the privilege to have two placements on Bobby Jones' last album, the churchy song "Let's Praise the Lord," and "Searched All Over" was the one on the second one. And then I had the opportunity to work with Maurice Griffin from Sunday Best, Montre Tisdale, so many indie artists that have allowed me to write for them, that have called me personally to write for them. And so I count it an honor to do that. I mean, that's just one of my passions for sure.
Worship. Yeah. Yeah. That album is, I'm not even into the church. And it's little makes me even more comfortable with it when I know it's coming from you and where you are.
Uh,
It's just seriously, it's just you don't feel so like it's a part of the system to
mm,
brainwash you to get you to do what they say to do
yeah.
afterwards. But so tell us a little bit about your journey going from being in church, being in worship, being deep in all this, and then you've had some major life transformations. And what happened? Where you were, and tell
Okay.
us what happened for this transformation in your life to where you are now.
Okay. Now, in order for me to really, let me just tell the story, because I feel like this is really where uh, the only way I can get the dots to connect. So I was born Baptist. Got me over that great Jehovah. That was something that we heard every Sunday. You hear me? Every Sunday. And then when we got into probably about middle school, my mom and aunt, they started to go more Pentecostal. So I would hear them speaking in tongues, and I would be the kid going to church, excited to go to church, excited to go to church and lay before the Lord. And I was the kid that was up behind past midnight, speaking in tongues and prophesying. And then after high school, I went to college. I went to UNT. I was over the Voices of Praise, over the gospel choir. Then that led me to another Baptist church while I was there. And that went from Pentecostal to being apostolic. And then I found myself apostolic, non denominational. And as I was married and we were just looking into the word and Jesus's life and what how Jesus lived, and I began to start do more practices around Hebrew. And so my wife at the time and my family, we enrolled ourselves into more so Messianic Jews. So we wouldn't do Christmas. We wouldn't do church on Sunday. We would do church on Saturday. We would do Hanukkah. We would do all the feast days. And in that period of my life, it was more so like, I just want to be like Jesus did. And I began to take on this idea that if Jesus did it, then surely I should be doing it. Right. And so in that period of my life, I was sitting in a Torah class because we had signed up, me and the mother of my children, we signed up for Torah classes. And it was one day in the Torah class that the rabbi was teaching about hell. And what he said was that the Jews don't teach hell. It's not a concept in the way that I was taught that they teach. And I sat there like, what? Wait, what? So I'm thinking to myself in this class, like, if Jesus is a Jew and he doesn't teach hell, then what is this all about? What is the condemnation? What is all the fear? And I just kind of let that sit and ponder. And I finished that particular Torah class, and then life happened. Like, life happened. I went through a divorce and one of the most painful experiences of my life. And I was in my living room after my divorce, really puzzled. Puzzled because here I am, Titus Glenn. Here I am, like, singing, writing for people, setting atmospheres, leading worship. And here I am, a divorced man, struggling in my sexuality, struggling who I'm with, and really trying to figure out God. are you even real? Because this doesn't make sense. And so here I am broken, like legit broken, trying to figure out what's going on. Because if I back up a little bit in my marriage, and I tell this live because I have no shame, in my marriage, what kind of ended me in this space of asking God more questions, because I ended up having an affair in my marriage. And then I took myself to counseling because I was trying to figure out, why in the world am I having an affair? So that put me in this whole work mode of what is wrong with me, because now I'm doing these things that I know is wrong, but I find myself doing them. And then I'm in this situation to where I'm like, God, I don't know if you're real. Like, we having conversations about hell. I don't know if hell is real. And so with all this on my mind, I felt called to take a prayer class with Iyanla Van Zant. And during that prayer call, she was teaching us how to pray. But in the midst of that, she kept on saying, by any name that you call God, that's who you're praying to. And it didn't register at first, but that week, when I say there was a moment after that prayer call, maybe like on the Wednesday or Thursday, I legit felt the presence of God that I used to feel when I was tearing before God, that hit my room. And I wrote a song called The Center, which I put out in the last 30 days. And that song in itself began to minister to me, to remind me that God is the center, spirit, source, creator of all that I am. And I began to even go on a deeper journey, really beginning to take classes and read books about God and who God is and how I register with God and what I was taught. And I began to really have these revelations and conversations with family members, for family members that began to kind of be concerned about me, if you will, because they were trying to figure out what it was that I believed. Did I believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? And one particular family member during this time that I'm really sitting with and really opening up my mind, I proposed this idea. I said to this particular family member, I said to them, is there only one way to get to Texas? Because I live in Texas. And they were like, no. I said, you're right. And they live in California. Well, they live in New York. Sorry, they live in New York. And so we went through all the ways to get to Texas: flying, walking, car, all these ways. And I gave them the revelation that God had given me. If we are talking about spiritual, then natural, and all these things as a mirror image, how is it that is multiple ways to get to one place, but when we get over to God, there's only one way to get to God? And that kind of left them baffled. And I began to really just kind of engage within myself these other ideas that was given to me by way of, I say, God, just thinking logically, just the idea that if I am in America and I was given this Christianity, but somebody on the other side of the world, is given some other religion, and we were to meet, how can I tell them that they're wrong? Because they will have a hard time convincing me that they're wrong, and vice versa. And I really began to sit with the idea that we were given religion. We were given this idea about God. And as we grow older, we evolve. And through this work, I began to really ask myself the question, or ask God really, like, what do I do with my music? Like, I love music. I legit, I've been singing since I was 4, writing around since I was 8. So that's like almost 35 plus years of writing and singing. And here I am what brought me so much joy is now my trigger. It's legit now my trigger. Because every time I hear Jesus in a song, I'm like, I don't know if this is true, what is happening. Like, I'm legit being triggered by the lyrics of song that used to take me in, like at the cross where I'm from. And I'm like, what if there is no cross? Like, what is happening? And it took me a minute. It took me a minute to really sit with this idea that everything is the same. Everything is connected. And in my healing journey, one of the things that my coaches had me do was to wake up every morning and just say, be still and know that I am God. And in that practice, I believe it began to unlock the knowing that there is a divinity within us, and everything that has been given to us, even in our foundation, there is a knowing that is all for our development. And so in this process of sitting and really asking God, what do I do now? Because now, even though I'm leading worship at church, and I'm still Titus. I'm still Titus, but I'm struggling inward. I'm struggling inward, which is a challenge for me because I'm used to coaching and leading people into this place. And here I am struggling to sing songs because there's a disconnect. And this whole conversation is kind of layered to me because I saw where they were, but I was trying to navigate where I was, which is one of the hardest things. And during some of these classes that I was taking and readings that I was doing, there were days that I could connect because I started to see Jesus differently. I started to see God differently. And through these experiences of learning Jesus in a different way, I believe God has shifted me to start writing in a way that allows a bridge of the two worlds so that people can cross over, so that people who are triggered by Jesus or God, having this understanding, if they are connected, if there's a different way to perceive it, then there's also a possible way that we can rewrite these songs that brought us so much joy so that we could be able to go into the inner work. And now I'm in the space of really helping people not lift their hands externally, but really find out, how do I find the sound that's going to allow you to go inward? And so doing these, doing prayer and doing talks with God, just sitting and pondering. One day I just came across sound bowls, and I was like, "This is it. This is it. This is worship all over. This is legit worship all over." And I decided to take a class, get certified. And at first, it was weird. I ain't gonna even lie, because I was in a room with other people that didn't believe in God. Some of them were calling God other things, but the experience of going through this certification, I was able to experience a sound bath. And then I began to connect the dots as to what I was already doing as a worship leader. So because I have been worshiping for over 20 years, I've been exposed to the teaching of music and what it does energetically, and how each key can shift the atmosphere. So a lot of times I was doing intuitively what I didn't even know was scientifically was a thing. So shifting keys so that the vibration or the energies in the rooms could change. What we call shifting an atmosphere, I now know was just an energetic shift. And so I began to open myself up. I began to open myself up to more science behind what praise and worship is. Like legit, I began to look into how even when we clap our hands, how we are doing we're it's a form of acupuncture, because there are points in our hands that when we clap or get people to clap, we are unlocking things in our body. Or when we're moving, like all these things that we tell people to do, I'm really leaning into the idea that if we discovered scientifically what we were doing, and if people were aware of what they were doing scientifically, we would have even different worship experiences. But now I know that this work that I get to do is about giving people tools on how to unlock energetically all your chakras, because you can do that musically just by playing a song in a certain key. And just through the things that I'm reading and becoming more aware of, like over in the East, they have a whole practice of people going into holistic doctors to be healed with music. And when you look at it holistically, when I look at it holistically, I now connect the dots as to how some people can go to church and be healed because of the intentions that were set, that we said were prayer. You know, some people, I believe, know how to intuitively and easily set an intention and are gifted to heal. They've only been told that it's prophetic. But I think for me, I'm understanding that in every sector of religion or spirituality, there is something that's being done that is just like something else in another person's walk. And for me, I have surrendered to being more user friendly, if you will, to be able to walk into a room and no matter what you believe, tap into the energy or the dialect or the conversation that you are having so that we can all elevate. So, Malachi, I don't know how long you want me to
No,
continue.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's I think part of your journey, and especially coming as a musician, a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
will be able to resonate,
Mm-hmm.
and because a lot of people will be stuck or not necessarily lost, but just kind of stuck with
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we've we've come a long way in terms of music in the church. We've
Absolutely.
come a long way, and when you think about spirituality and you think about the music, like you said, the Far East,
Mm-hmm.
heck, they have their own keys, chord
Mm-hmm.
structures.
Absolutely.
You know, completely different. And it's amazing how it's tied to a lot of the science, which we didn't necessarily know.
Mm-hmm.
I know as a musician, you hit certain keys, certain chord progressions,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what people would feel. But it's no
Absolutely.
different than a scary movie. If you go into a scary movie,
Absolutely.
you're going to hit certain keys and it's going to change your body. So therefore, what we would do is we would think that God is in the room or in the space because of the fact the way we would feel, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that feeling had to do with the music. Not saying that God wasn't. I think a lot of the times God necessarily doesn't necessarily enter in a space and not enter in
Mm-hmm.
a space.
For sure,
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean? God just
It's
is.
the awareness of it, right? It's
Yes.
it's the awareness of it, and I think a lot of times when we hit those atmospheres, we were hitting keys and ethers in the realm that were releasing chemicals in our brain so that we could have the release, right? Because that's what music does. You can get into a car and a song come on, it's triggering a memory, it's triggering something which is releasing chemicals and hormones so that you can have a certain reaction. And I believe that where we are now, because people are tired of just church, right? They're
Mhm.
wanting something else, not to push them to God out here, but how do I fix what's going on in here? Because this is where the chaos is.
Mm, absolutely. And I think as a community, here's one thing I'm going to tell you. As a community, as an expanded conscious community, as people who are progressing and
Mm-hmm.
coming from the spaces, especially when it comes to gospel music, there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing that even in the secular world, it's like they could still go to church, or they can experience. Actually, we get pretty, a lot of church people get ticked off when people would do gospel music or do, and they're not in the gospel industry, because then they want you to be saved, sanctified, and whatever else, filled with the precious Holy Ghost, and that would fire. Isn't it funny? Like, it's just that programming.
I mean, I get it. I mean, for so long, I would not sing R&B because there was a fear that I wasn't pleasing God. There was a fear that if I stepped over and started singing love songs and started singing these songs, that God wasn't going to be pleased. And so I get it, because I used to be there. And sometimes I still have to be like, Titus, it's okay. I was dancing to Beyonce in the other morning just so I could shift my energy.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there's so many artists that actually create. I'll tell you, Kanye West, whenever he did that Jesus is King, was brilliant. The way he did it, and he didn't use, he didn't use normal drums. He used a percussion, like a band, from like a marching band style of a percussion, and just how the freedom that a person can have. So if any of you, like Dr. Joel Brown is a musician, and so if any of you guys are people out there, if you are a musician, if you are creating music and you did it in the church, now is the time that you can open up and release, and you have the complete openness to allow, right, your body and your spirit. Like, you can compose movies, you can compose, you could compose anything. You're not limited by the, right, as human beings. What we're finding out in expanded consciousness, that, and as we get into the flip and superhumanities, what we're going to find out when we can release ourselves spiritually, we're going to find out that we are special. We're special human beings, are beings, and we have the God code. We have the DNA within us to do so much more than we can imagine. I mean, like they call it parapsychology, right? I was just reading about the CIA years ago. They had done a study on telepathy and various sciences with the human being able to do things that are quote unquote psychic, but now it's coming out in science that we can do some things. So when we can tap into other spaces and other parallel worlds, right? Who you are or you desire to be is here.
Right. But I think, Malachi, I think we do that now. We just call it prophecy, right? and I feel like what has really hurt us as a people is that we've limited it to this wording of what we do. And if it's called anything else, then that's where the fuss is. Because I can go give a word to somebody and call myself a prophet, but as soon as I give a word and call myself a psychic, now it's, oh no, that's not the Lord. even if I was accurate, even if whatever that was said changed the other person's life, we get so hooked up on the wording of things that we don't allow ourselves to see logically what's really happening.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is that wording, even when you think like prophet, the term prophet, like prophets in the old, they were gestures. They didn't walk around calling them prophets, right? They were mystics. I'm doing a lot of studying on mysticism and mystics. There's all mystics and everything. Christian mystics, Islamic mysticism.
Wow.
But that's dating back to the early church. A lot of people, it's really tough to really think about the early church when you start talking about like 200 and 300,
Mm-hmm.
400 BC, right? You're moving way back before you dealing with what is it, King James, and writing the King James Bible, Accounts of Nicaea, 1611. It was 1611 when King James had that all kind of put together. And so the difficulty of being able to really deconstruct, right? But really the difficulty as Black people to be able to decolonize, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
being able to, because African spirituality and our ability to do the things that we were doing, right,
Yeah.
before we actually came here. I mean, it's noted and it's said.
Yeah.
And if you look at Bishop Mason and everything he was doing, and you look at all of his pictures, his mother
Mm-hmm.
was hoodoo, which is different than voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
It's not voodoo. It's different. It's older, but I mean, they were able to a hoodoo doctor, or that was back before, kind of before you would have a lot of the science with
Mm-hmm.
being able to have doctors the way you have them today. And so therefore you had a lot of plant-based medicine and being able to go get roots and this root and that root and
For
put this
sure.
together,
For
you
sure.
know, and being able to heal. And so therefore, if you watch my episode with Cesar, he talked about a lot about how we were shaped. We were able to bring, like, where
Mm-hmm.
did the shout and dance come from? Where did
Right.
the dance come from?
And not just the shout and the dance, but the way that they were doing it in community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How they were doing it in community, how they were moving together, how they were singing together. And what I've even found when I'm doing some of my studies, that sometimes even when we interpret the Bible, they are referencing community, not
Mm,
church, right? And so for me, I'm finding that the singing and the choral singing is a healing modality,
mm,
which is why sometimes you have more church in rehearsal, because it's about community and people using their giftings. And in this space of science, you're using your throat chakra, which is your greatest weapon on your body, because your whole body is attuned to your voice. But to put that collectively together with other people that are using their voice and being vulnerable, because to sing and to use your voice is a level of vulnerability. And in the vulnerability becomes power. And then now we expand so that we feel the spirit rising, but we're sensing and feeling energy shifting, so
mm.
that we are evolving and shedding, releasing whatever needs to come up so it can be removed.
You still feel a quickening?
Listen, listen. I still catch the Holy Ghost, because you know, man. It's, to me, it's I go live every day on my TikTok page, and I really share with. I said that church boy ain't gonna go away. But I think, for me, it's part of my story. It's part of my journey, so that those other people that are deconstructing out of church, who says you have to have or, why you can't have and.
Sure.
Right. And I think in my upbringing, I could only do gospel. It wasn't I could do gospel and I could do R&B, or I could do gospel and I could do inspiration. It was like, this is the way, and if you do anything outside of that, that's not the will. Right. But when I crossed over, Malachi, there's so much freedom over here. There's so much freedom, and I've listened to music, and there's been moments where I've just turned gospel music off, and I've had some of the best experiences just listening to music and just letting the music, no matter if it was cussing, no matter what was going on, because sometimes even the language that has the cussing in it is unlocking traumas in you that can come up so you can deal with it. Because
Mm,
if everything is vibration, if we put on something in our car, we feel something, it's something that we can become aware of, and then work through or sit with or pray about, so that we can move on and become our most authentic self.
oh, oh man. I'm going through a lot of that in the writing process with Miss Dorothy, and that
Mm.
man, you hit it. It's just that expanded consciousness is what, but ultimately it's the, I call it the divine authentic self. It's like
Absolutely.
the divine authentic self, meaning like this is who, not just I am as an individual.
Mm.
We are, as an individual person, we may have a different expression, no different than we have a different look. But
Mm.
in the divine of who we are, we're essentially tapping and tuning into the same source. They're the same
Absolutely.
element, right? We're humans.
Absolutely. Mhm.
We're tuning into that. And so what happens is, as we tune into that, I believe that's when we can move into true bona fide miracles in our life. Miracles
Mm.
that are not just miracles. Because one of the things about a miracle is they're they seem to not be consistent.
Mm.
But when you really learn to the metaphysics, right, of life, and you begin to get understand, you said vibration.
Mhm.
Music.
Absolutely.
Music is a vibration,
Vibration. Absolutely.
right? My voice, you hear it, it's vibrating. But what happens when you change the frequency, right? The f-
Absolutely.
the
Like
frequency.
the waves can either slow down or the waves can either pick up, you know, and I love these conversations. I'm still doing research because even I use examples sometimes, like you can have an opera singer who can change the frequency and shatter glass. So when we are doing music, that's proof enough that if something could be shattering in us,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? That we don't
Oh,
see, but the feeling is there, right? The emotion is there.
yes.
And so when we are working in this transition, it's about, to me, I've always taught this. I'm not never chasing the song. I'm chasing the sound.
Mm,
What is the sound that needs to be produced so that I can elevate and not feel this way or feel differently? Not the song, but the sound. And I
mm,
think that's where church boys and church kids have to kind of lean into, right? Like, what is the sound for this next move? Which I think is more so meditation. I was talking to a friend the other day. I said, just start playing meditation on your piano. Because I think the world in itself, the shop music is just it's so aggressive, right? In a lot of sectors. And I think the world is calling for, sorry, my daughter just came into the room. What? Okay. 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 And so I'm learning that to chase the sound and not the song. But in doing that, I feel like the world is shifting from this rah 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 rah, especially in the spiritual space, to how do we find this balance? Which is why I see, we saw Andre 3000 come out with a whole peaceful album because I feel like the world is looking for ways to tap in inwardly and looking for this balance so that we could be more self-reflective and not project like we were taught to do.
mm, mm. The you mentioned meditation. One of the things I'll tell you about meditation is people call everything that. Um,
Mm,
they'll call, and there's a walking meditation, and there's
for sure.
mindfulness, which is a form of meditation. But what I'm discovering is you can enter into, when you think about some of your gurus, right?
Mm,
The guru is just, in America, we think guru is just a person that is so special that we can't be that. But the technical term for guru basically is spiritual teacher, right?
mm,
That's all. It's just a spiritual teacher that,
okay.
and some of these people have reached levels of enlightenment that when you hear it, it's pretty profound,
Mm,
right? Whenever they speak, and some of the
mhm,
words and things that they say, it's very profound and can change your life if you're able to take the words in and apply it to your life, and then shift something within you. That's the
mhm,
biggest thing, is as we learn to deconstruct, right? There's a lot of shifting that has to take place. And the thing is like, we don't necessarily just need to think about deconstructing and decolonizing Christianity. Like, we have to deconstruct this whole entire system.
Absolutely.
Government,
Absolutely.
education, religion. We have to deconstruct, because here's the thing. The reason why you have people that do special things, this latest book I'm reading is The Metaphysical Millionaire. And it was a guy that became a millionaire, and he was in the metaphysics, but he talks about some of the greatest people that we would see, and then he talks about their practices in terms when it comes to meditation. Because what we're discovering in meditation, as you progress with your meditation and when you do it, it's between the brain and the pineal gland and the heart, right? And as you are taking your brain into basically your mind and your consciousness and taking it into other states, right? What happens is they can hook you up to an EEG machine, electrode, and put it on your brain, and they can discover that all of a sudden the gray matter is changing. All of a sudden healing is taking place.
Absolutely.
They could begin to see that, wait a minute, as you do this, this is shifting your life.
Absolutely.
Right? And the thing is, like you was talking about the praise and the shout. The thing about the praise and the shout, I remember I was 11 years old. I really didn't get down. I wasn't just one of those people that would do that. And because a lot of people just do it. And now people, more so now, people do it as a technique and an art, and they have a way to do it. You know, I grew up back in the 80s when a lot of people shout, you have to protect them and put an arm around them because you're going to hurt yourself.
They was having a Baptist fit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go,
absolutely.
You just go. Yeah, people can hurt themselves because it wasn't it was a feeling and an expression. And I remember when I was 11 years old and I ended up shouting out my socks. And I don't know what happened. I just remember that I was in the room. And I don't know what, honestly, I have no idea. It was just the energy in the room, right? And the thing is I believe a lot of it comes from, if I get deep, it comes from our roots and DNA, right? And when we Africans, our ancestry that's still within us, right?
Absolutely.
It still can. That's a reason why when we move and when we dance and people like, man, you can move and you can dance and a lot of that has to do with our structure. And the thing is now what we're discovering and finding is that if we begin to, we know how to do that part, but if we learn how to do this part, all of a sudden you could begin to shift, truly heal your body.
Absolutely.
Right? You could truly begin to not only just heal your body, now you can step into metaphysically and start open up doors, and you could start, bringing stuff. This book that I'm reading, it talked about a lady that would always she got it down and she would always win the lottery. Boom, boom, boom. She would win. And then there was a time that she knew she was going to win. And I've been playing with this, some of this. And yes, I'm here to tell you, I promise you, I'm here to tell you that this stuff is so real.
For sure.
It's so real that it could almost freak you out, where you'd be like,
no, I believe it, because I was working on doing some meditation, and I was, working on manifestation and what those things are and how to do it and stuff like that. I kid you not. Like, I started, and like when I started, I got like a phone call that linked me to a client that I was like, okay, this works. You know what I mean? But so I understand it, because I'm experiencing that myself, even as I am doing these sound baths and connecting these things. Hold on. Okay, I'm on the video. So y'all gonna have to work on. You got. You're gonna have to work on that, son. Yes, I will. I will. I'm being a you say I'm being a father right now.
Well, if he's gonna do that, he's gonna have to get on the screen and say hi.
Come on, Ty. You gonna speak to the people? I am live. I told you I had a come say hi to the people.
You have to say hi now.
You gotta say hi since you're here.
Just show your face.
Okay? Say hi.
Hi.
I'm working. I've tried to prep them. I said I gotta work. I'm going.
That's so funny.
Yeah, son. I love you.
He was so irritated. Is he the baby?
He is the baby. He is the baby. He is the baby. And yes, he's the baby. And that he's the only boy. So yeah.
Yes, I understand. I
But,
totally understand.
but I'm in this phase where I am seeing things happen, and if they're not happening, there's a sense that they're happening. Right? Like there's a practice that I have to do, and there's practices that I have been doing that when I should be tired, I'm not tired. And I believe it's because of the work that I'm doing in this meditation state, right?
Yes.
But the science is there. I had a friend I was talking to, and he was telling me a story about when his back was broke or something like that, sprained or something. He said he couldn't feel anything. He couldn't feel anything. And I'm going back to the sound piece because I think this goes into that meditation, your brain going into those theta waves and stuff like that. He told me that when they use sound, he could feel it in his body.
Mm.
I was like, this is I this is real. I have had moments with some of my clients that when I've done sound baths, they were crying.
Mhm.
I couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold it when I do lives on the mornings I do them. I often have people say, "Wow, why can I not stop crying?" But I
Mm.
feel like, and I know that, not feel, I know that this meditation state that sound can put you in allows your mind to take you to that place to clean up so that you can have release, because all crying is a release
Yes.
of pent up feelings, emotions, so that your body can heal.
Yes. 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 What would you say as you were a worship? And guys, I'll tell you, he was a he is a powerful worship leader in the sense that a lot of times people will do things and they would just get up there and they're a great singer and they'll just got great musicians and they'll just do it and people like it because of the performance is good.
Mm-hmm,
But there's one thing about you is that you really did flow within, and it's like as we said, the spirit, you flow within your spirit, right?
mm-hmm,
And I believe as you flowing in your spirit, within yourself is what really begin to open up.
mm-hmm,
Tell what is it that you would tell people today that they could do on their own if they get up in the morning? Like for me, and I'll tell you, like I practice my meditation a lot of times in the morning,
mm-hmm,
and then I'll do it in the evening. Sometimes I'll do it during the day. And the more I do it, the more I feel connected, right?
mm-hmm,
More that the world is I'm beginning to feel and connect to the story.
mm-hmm.
And so, um, how does your music? Because you will coach and you will actually use the music and sound to help people heal. What is something that people would you say can do for themselves that used to listening to praise and worship, or they used to doing this or doing that, but they want to, I think you kind of mentioned it and you said something about meditation music.
So I think it's layers to this. So I'll give various things that I kind of coach people on, especially if they still like gospel music. Um, but what I'll do, I'll approach the meditation piece is more so maybe incorporating affirmational music. because if we all come from if we all are Bible toters or used to be, and we still believe in the Bible, or we're unlearning, whatever that looks like, we also can look at words having power. So listening to affirmational songs to really begin to remind yourself of who you are or the things that you have. There is a group of people called Beautiful Chorus. I started listening to them because it was in alignment with the spiritual and God, and they didn't say God, but the words that they were saying, like they have a song where I am enough, and incorporating those things, because I feel like in that music leads you into that worship feel to where you can just kind of rest. um, the other side of that, for those that still are liking your gospel music, I have started to reimagine and rethink what these words mean to me. So, for example, when I hear Jesus, more often I am listening and recreating Jesus as imagination based on the this book and this author that I was reading. I think his name is Navel Goddard, something like that. But he talks about Jesus being imagination. And when I read that, I was like, whoa. So when I hear somebody say, example, in the name of Jesus, I go by way of in the name of my imagination, because I know consciously that if I can dream it, feel it, see it in my imagination, it can come to pass. So for me, I started to look at Jesus differently. I started to interchange spirit and Jesus. Instead of saying Jesus, I will say spirit. So, for example, if we were doing in the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, we have the victory. I'll say, in the name of Spirit, in the name of Spirit, we have the victory. In the name of Spirit, in the name of Spirit, the ego has to flee. So instead of saying devil, I'll say ego. I'll say ego instead of tell,
Well,
just to get myself in this place of the power is within and not these outer beings.
yes, I was about to say people need to understand they would, because they could get it confused that just because you replace Jesus with spirit, that it's that you're taking away something
Mm.
from,
Listen.
from something that really, for me, I would have to just say something that is not necessarily truly in existence, right? What
Mm.
we are, Christ and Christianity are two
Mhm.
different spaces, right?
Mm.
If you want to go there, right?
For sure, for sure, for
If a
sure.
person wants to go there, because what we have and what we've been handed and what we have been given
Mhm.
is something completely different,
Absolutely.
totally different, if it is, but it's totally different from something that I would say what would be original in terms of when we start talking about how they say Yeshua, or you didn't even have the J and then they gave Jesus the
Right. The
J.
gem. Right.
And it's not taken away, it's actually adding, and it's actually taking this external God, right? That
Absolutely.
you have no control, you have nothing, and you taking it within, right?
Absolutely.
All of it.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I think that's
I
I think it's
mean, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it's truly powerful just because of the fact that what happens and what's going on with you is the fact that you're going to be able to give other people something so they can turn that within. And what a lot of
Mm.
people think when we start talking about within and self,
Mm.
they think ego.
Mm.
And we're talking about the higher self, or we're talking
Mm.
about the divine self. We're talking about the self that is what would I say, egoless, even though we
Right.
have we
Right.
reference it,
Right. Right.
we have it, right?
Right. Right.
But I think that's a beautiful, that I call, that's part of that affirmation. Earlier you had just mentioned the beautiful voices, and you can tell that beautiful voices
Mhm.
to be some people that were somehow, some of those singers are connected to church, some kind of way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm gonna have to bring. I want people to. I'll have to bring that up since we're on this. We're talking music and what music is, what music does, frequency, vibration, and the fact that we have so much. What would the church be? Gospel, black church. What would it be without music?
It wouldn't be nothing. And me personally, because I feel like most people, in my experience, most people go for the music. They'll sit for the word, but they're not really engaged.
No,
they're not really engaged unless you got a great teacher.
Yeah.
But a lot of people go to small churches and I'm telling what my experience is now. People go for community.
Yep.
And they go for the singing.
Yep.
And that's it. But I think, in this next move, people are looking for community that leads them to evolution or evolving.
Yes.
And I think that's going to have to start or can start with the music. I was listening somewhere where they saying that preachers are really not as great of preachers as musicians and artists. Because looking at history, a lot of times when anything is happening, most of the music that are climbing the charts are the music that's defining and prophesying what's happening in the earth.
Yeah. Yep. Or bringing attention to, if you look at, whenever they were talking about war or Bob Marley, when we were talking about reggae, who is it? We have Brother Joel in the chat, and he's from Jamaica. His parents are from Jamaica, and he was talking about being in the church and doing Jamaican music or reggae. I'm sorry. And so his family, I guess, started doing some reggae, I believe, like Christian or gospel. And so it was because it was like believed that reggae, of course, people would see reggae and it was like reggae is reggae. And so the thing is I believe reggae was originally what I would consider conscious music too. Like a lot of Bob Marley, he did a lot of music that was speaking out with something for something, especially whenever it starts speaking out something what we our people are experiencing. And so I believe what you are experiencing and what we're experiencing in this new space, this space as we progress is going to require different different music, because some of that music, matter of fact, I'm in the middle of doing a lot of updates to a lot of Dr. Miles Monroe's old teachings. He's got hundreds and hundreds, and I'm helping his son with that. And one of the things I heard he was talking about, this was probably in 90s, and he was talking about music, and he's like, some of those songs I don't sing, and you get mad at me. And he was talking about it, and I think he's able to relate to that better because he's from the Bahamas.
Yeah, I get it.
We're from the States, and one of the things that we have, and like you said, I will tell you, you have nothing without the music, nothing. And I was just on another post not too long ago, and I said, and it was with a guy named Brian. I can't think of his last name. Brian. He's the writer for SWV. He did all the SWV stuff.
Okay.
Brian Morgan, and he, of course, being connected to Bishop and being connected to Wayman Tisdale connected me to a lot of people that are artists and a lot of people that are musicians that work with all sorts of different people. And the interesting thing that he had to say was about it. We were talking about like the music being so important, and he was like, by the time the preacher get up there who was born, we was ready to go. All the musicians would be like, okay, Like, unless you are really deeply into it,
Yeah, absolutely,
I
absolutely.
want to hear the word. I want to, and because a lot of times the word was just the same old stuff repeated over and over again. Like it was,
Yeah, for sure, for
it
sure.
was repeated, So therefore, it's like we would definitely come for the music. If you guys, just while I'm here, I just want you guys to know that what is your, just so they'll know, I'll get that you're being able to like follow or get connected to some of your music in space. I believe that you have a website, correct?
My website is not up,
But you
but
had a link. You had a
yeah,
link
I
tree.
have a link in my. I have a link tree. I have a link. I have a. Actually, I have a Stan Store. I've migrated to Stan Store. So
Okay.
you go to all social media is under Titus Glenn Official. So I
Okay.
have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and it's all under Titus Glenn Official. And that's how to connect with me. And then on Spotify, Apple Music, it's just under Titus Glenn.
So Titus. So basically, if you want to connect to him, it's going to be basically Titus Glenn Official.
Mm-hmm.
And you would just type that into Facebook, YouTube, and you will be able to connect with his music and what he's got going on. Because I'll tell you, there's some great stuff in there. And as we move forward with, like I call it affirmation music, because I seen an article
Mm-hmm.
uh, in Detroit or somewhere where other people are coming into this understanding where it may have a gospel sound or it may
Mm-hmm.
have but lyrically, to me, it's kind of about empowerment, personal
Absolutely.
empowerment, and it may reference God, but ultimately, it's still very personal, and you're not have this external God that you cannot reach or get to unless you go through
Yeah.
these paths or go through this system.
And
And
I think consciously it's causing calling for unity. And I
mm,
think that's what's happening. I rewrote Tasha Cobb's song the other morning. I guess it's not her song. It's Planet Shakers did it. Break Every Chain.
yes,
And we were talking about it consciously, and the way that it was given to me, somebody put in the chat for me to sing it. And the way it came to me, there is power when you live in freedom.
mm,
There is power when you live in freedom. It breaks every chain. It breaks every chain. But in that is bringing people together, knowing that you can live as yourself, so that you can operate and be free.
mm,
But holistically, I think that's what I think that's where we're headed. Like it might have a certain style, but the if anything, I feel like gospel music could get smaller because it creates a division. And I
yeah,
believe people are looking for a way to connect with people and not feel divided and isolated.
mm. Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, when you think about it, I remember when every time we would make a move in gospel music specifically, it would be like you would have like a James Cleveland, and then you move, then you have your,
Mhm.
uh, which would be older, and then as it progressed, the music progressed before you got from these Mississippi Mass, and then you start getting into these smaller
Mhm.
groups. I remember when BB and CC didn't say Jesus enough, and they
That
came
part.
to CC, and then I mean it just kept on. Then when Kirk Franklin came out with all his, reason why he sing was
Mhm.
getting really, because he didn't sing, and they were kind of on edge. And then whenever he came out with Stomp, and then they
Oh,
played
that was
Stomp
the
in the
whole.
club,
Yeah. Oh my. That was a whole thing.
couldn't even he couldn't even, and now to this day it's such a fight. And it's almost like that's the thing is people, they just, especially in that energy,
Mhm.
it's like I'm Christian A. Smith, I'm gonna have him back on. He's a wonderful guy out of Atlanta, and it's amazing when people make the decision to um, become inclusive,
Mm-hmm.
and yet those some of those people like Christian, they still have kind of a pastor or community,
Mm-hmm.
and it's amazing. Even if you're not that, I look and I've seen it and I hear about even Michael Todd, where he's still pretty much um, progressive Christian,
Mm-hmm.
but yet though people come for him, like your music is this and this is that, and
Right.
it's a lot of energy to me that is it's so negative. And then I'm to the point too where I can't even I don't even like to listen to a lot of it because of that fact. I don't listen to any of it, but whenever it does come on, it's like I feel this pull,
Oh,
and it's like a pull where it's like,
yeah.
please help me, God. Oh, I need it, God. Oh, help, God. And God is sitting back like,
Yeah.
what are
Well,
you?
we've been taught. And so that's so much to unpack because we've been taught codependency.
Tell us more.
We've been taught to rely on this. We've been taught to rely on this God outside of ourselves. So we're always relying, we're always going to the altar because we feel like we can't do it without God, versus God is within me. I'm locked in, I'm tapped in, so I can go to God within me, not necessarily have to go to church and be codependent on, well, I'm waiting on the word from the Lord, or I need to go to this offer line to get this prophetic word. I think that's where some of the hurt has been, because we have not given people the power to trust themselves. Oftentimes, I talk on my teaching, when I'm teaching and coaching and teaching people why they should give them grace. I go back to the human development cycle, which I've learned as I'm getting my master's in counseling. And when you look at how we develop as humans between the ages of 12 and 18, it's the time that you're going from identity versus identity confusion. But a lot of people never went through that phase because they were never, especially in the African American church, because they were never given the right to explore anything outside of what they were told. And so in becoming an adult, all we've had is to rely on what we was told, not necessarily anything that we've actually experienced and learned or thought logically about. And so I feel like in this next phase, people are seeing other people change. And as other people change, they're wondering, how are you changing? But you don't go to church. And you don't go to church. But when I'm in your presence, I feel God. Like, what is that? And I think where we are, people are wanting to know, how do I rely on what I hear and not necessarily be connected to having to be affirmed by somebody else. So
Yes, yes, yes. I hope, man, I hope you guys got that. That was one of those moments that it was, I almost want to play it back because
but seriously though, I think that's where I realized when I was going through my healing journey that I didn't know who I was outside of church. I didn't know, like, who am I but outside of worship leading people. And it's because I've been in this world of relying on going to my pastor for a word. And
Mm,
then there's a teaching that prophecy is supposed to confirm. So if they prophesy and it's not confirming, so you're always at battle with, okay, what is it that I'm hearing, right? And so now I have all these voices in my head, and I don't really know the voice that is given to me, which is my voice, so that I can actually know what I'm supposed to do.
Mm. So music is something, especially meditative
Mm-hmm.
music. I
Mm-hmm.
believe it's something that can actually help a person
Mm-hmm.
move into that space. And a lot of times music that may not have lyrics.
Absolutely. 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 Because in that when you are playing music, even piano music, even jazz music, even any type of instrumental music, you don't have any type of barrier that will prevent you from tapping into what it is that you're hearing. There's no
Yes.
words that are influenced. We just got through reading the Four Agreements, and this is bringing me back to the first agreement, which was to be impeccable with your words. But it talks about how words cast spells, and if we're under spells by way of talking, we're also, I believe, under a greater spell when we put it into music.
Ooh.
So if we are under a spell, right, the best way to dismantle that spell is to go into meditation without the words or the lyrics in the music.
Mm. Ooh. Under a spell. You don't even know it whenever that is coming.
You don't even know. You don't even know.
Mrs. Miss Marie said, she says hypnosis.
Absolutely. 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 Which is why this is so good, because this is why it became so important for people to set the atmosphere before the preaching. Because your mind is actually being drawn into a place to where you are not really in control of what you're digesting.
Mm.
So if we could get into a place to where I'm gonna shut out the music, I'm gonna shut out the lyrics and just let the music take me where it needs to take me. Because when I let the music take me, I'm not influenced by the lyrics. I'm influenced by what's needing to come up, and then letting that resolve the way it needs to resolve.
Mm.
You can journal what you're thinking, because there's no interference in the instrumental.
Man. There is some we got some great comments here that I'm gonna put up here on the screen, man. There's so many. Here's one that I would like to address real quick. How do we find the sound that's gonna help me go with inward? I'm pretty sure this was older um,
Yeah.
post that he had put. But here's one thing before um, you could go ahead and probably address that. But
So I would say, you want me to go ahead and address
no,
it?
go for it.
So I would say the sound that's going to help you go inward is the sound that feels good to your body, because every person is going to be different. And when it comes to sound healing, sound bath, and sound bath is really about the intention that you're giving it. So you bringing in a piano track is going to be more effective if you apply an intention with what you're doing with that sound. So if you're saying my intention is to have peace or whatever that is, then bring in that instrument and then let that music take you where you need to go without resistance, and just surrender to that moment. Hope
Mm,
that answered your question.
yeah, and he's actual, and I think I'm gonna show some of that beautiful courses before this is over, just so people can hear something that is really unique and different.
Mhm.
Um, um, I think we can go ahead and do this one too. What do we do with our music and worship? I guess we kind of answer that marketing dogma and religious,
Mhm.
you know.
What do we do with our music and worship leading beyond marketing dogma and religious branding? For me, I think we take the lyrics and we write lyrics in a way that empowers people to go inward, because a lot of the dogma has people going to the cross, or they, have people under the trance of the blood. And if that works for you, that works for you. But if you're going to um, be in that space of removing the dogma, it's all in the lyrical content and how you're writing the content to empower the people versus pushing them to a deity outside themselves.
Mm, that makes me think of, you talk about deity, Mrs. That makes me think here, we must be careful to remember the church is part of the establishment of the so-called democracy here in America, and its whole existence depend upon our belief in it as they give it to us. No changes are allowed. So as we change the way this music flows, all of a sudden, I believe we could begin to change the way people go. Because I mean, without it,
Absolutely.
they don't have any. I mean, it's hard. You don't have anything.
But I think even as you were talking earlier, when we begin to cancel this spell and we are putting ourselves under a different frequency, we automatically shift.
Yes.
We automatically shift to people, places, and things that are like us. And a lot of times, people are removing themselves from assemblies and they would rather stay at home or go virtual so they could be in a different frequency. And that in itself is causing people to remove themselves from pews because they want to be around a higher vibration.
Oh man, the vibration, lower levels of consciousness operate at lower frequencies,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in
Mm-hmm.
those lowers, so guilt, shame,
Absolutely.
And do you know, I can feel some of that in some of that worship. Some of the worship
Listen,
music
that's,
is a guilt,
listen.
shame, like
When you
I'm not
start,
enough.
absolutely.
I'm
When you
not
start
enough.
talking about that, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I got distracted.
I'm only enough with you, Jesus. I'm only
Listen,
enough. You can't I can't do nothing without you. But the thing
listen.
is like, when you say I can't do nothing without you, are you actually talking about a deity, or are you talking about the building, the people
Mm,
in the building, the
mm,
pastor? Like,
mm,
really, you're saying you can't do nothing without all of this system.
mm,
And
mm,
therefore, they're getting more commitment because what do you do? I mean, honestly, you're going to have music to get people going.
mm-hmm,
Then you have music whenever you get people to give.
mm-hmm.
And then when the pastor talks, and right before he gives you the ultimatum, we got to have music before that.
Absolutely. But music is influence. Music has influence. Like the trance that we were talking about earlier. It legit does take you there, especially when you have a skilled musician. And if we still want to use the Bible, we can look at David and Saul and how music influenced that leadership. We have to understand, and I think pastors know to a certain degree, but as we are coming to this greater awareness, I think it's more of a greater charge to use this trance to empower people versus put them and keep them in the state of low vibration, which is why I am legit working on a new album to address this entire space, because I feel like what we don't have right now in gospel music are the albums that empower us to be ourselves, right? If
Mm.
we really want to be under the gospel, how about we cast a spell that will allow us to walk in our divinity? And I think that is where we have to lean in to be bold and brave, to even create a different genre called conscious gospel, in my opinion, because it's this awareness that I am divine and I can have what I say, right? And I think that's where the shifting can go as we vibrate higher and cause people to come into this place of inclusion versus bringing division because we don't serve the same God.
Maybe that might be more related to an album, the consciousness, the gospel of consciousness. Maybe, you know, maybe that's something to do with your record.
It could be, you know.
Conscious. That's a little different. I mean, well, and I think it's kind of part of the transition, because I think as we all evolve and we transition, I will tell you, it's going to, I mean, if you think about music today, whether it's hip hop, because even within the hip hop space and rap, hip hop, R&B, right, it has totally flipped on its head from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, right?
Absolutely.
You know, we don't even have the choir music has turned into small groups, small worship. And then now that's even changing, right? And so it's all about, it's going to change. Instruments change, you know, sounds change, we change.
Absolutely.
You know, they say that Jesus is the same today and forever. But the thing is like, if you want to say that God is the same, that's fine. We're not. We don't remain the same. And if we don't remain the same, right? And God is an individual. God is almost an individual ideal or concept for each person, and then you have the collective conscious. And once we can collectively say, "Hey, how do you feel about this?" and I say, "I feel like this," and you say, "Man, we're on one accord," right? I feel you. I think I can work. I can rock with you. You know what I mean? Versus, like, you know, if you start talking about, you know, these things that they're talking within Christian nationalism is like,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
I don't, you know what I mean? We might as well break out the slave Bible and get that going. Go ahead and get that fired back up. Get us back in line. It's getting late, y'all. It's getting late. Malachi's about to start talking crazy.
I mean, I think it's the truth, though. I think it's the truth as we are. I feel like a lot of us are ready to heal, which is why we have arrived to this place to have conversations. Because 3 years ago, I wouldn't dare share what was going on. You know, I feel like through these conversations, I'm finding more people that's like, whoa, I'm there. I'm there. I was on live today, and when I pray, normally I say, I've gotten into the custom of saying Father God, Mother God. And somebody was like, why are you saying Mother God? And I had to explain, because we are in this space to where we are open, and especially a lot of the millennials that are deconstructing, we're opening that God might not be male or female. So the fact that we've been taught to pray our Father, then we are missing a whole sector of people that have been taught that God is a woman. And so I feel like our charge, and my charge as a conscious worship leader, is to how do I navigate the language so that everyone is included and we can vibrate and move together.
Understanding that we are spirit beings is one of the most difficult concepts we can get, because of death, because death should be the thing that allows you to see or witness.
Yes.
You are more than just a human. But the thing is we don't even realize or understand our power.
That part.
And if we get the frequency right, if we get the sound right, every meditation that I do, I use meditation insight timer, and every meditation that I do typically has music. Very seldom does it not have music. And it has words. And literally that music and those words begin to change something
Absolutely.
within me, and it's provable. It's proven.
Mm-hmm.
You can prove it. This was one of the songs that I really enjoyed. One of our first heard um beautiful voices. No, beautiful
Of course.
chorus.
Mm-hmm.
This was one of the first ones. And boy. So we're going to I guess we're going to go ahead and we're going to listen to this real quick. We can listen to some of it and just some of these lyrics. And while we do this, I want you guys to set intention, meaning just begin to work with your breath, take a deep breath in, and do that probably 3 or 4 times, and just allow some of these lyrics just to kind of work with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wanna be. I have everything I need. I am everything I wanna be. I have everything I need. I am everything I wanna be. I have everything I need. I am everything I wanna be. I have everything I need. I am everything I wanna be. I have everything I need. I am everything I wanna be. I have everything I need. I am everything I wanna be. I have everything I need. I am everything I wanna be. I have everything I need. I am everything I wanna be. I have everything I need. I am everything I wanna be. I have everything I need. I am everything I wanna be. I have everything I need. I am everything I wanna
I want you to monitor
be. I have
your body,
everything I
monitor your heart.
I am everything
You could have
I
drifted away,
wanna be.
and that's okay.
I have
The whole
everything
goal is
I need.
to come back to center.
I am
The mind will
everything
drift.
I
It's supposed to drift,
Mm-hmm.
but then come back to center. And as you repeat that process, coming back to center, who is that? What is that? Is that just your mind? Because your mind is wandering, but something is telling you to bring it back to center. I think what we will learn and find out, sir, is that I believe that the music is the key.
Mm-hmm.
The music is what will take us to the place, the next place,
Mm-hmm.
right? For us as we begin to connect and use it.
Absolutely.
These are just some sound textures, Set an intention. That means that I'm coming within, feeling my heart, feeling my body, form of mindfulness. And then we can move that into from the mindfulness of feeling the body and feeling the space in the room and bring it into the body. But now we can move into who am I? Who am I when I choose to let go and allow?
Absolutely.
Right? When I choose to let go,
Absolutely.
you are a person that are beginning to take the initiative to go to a spiritual school, if you will, and you begin to write music and you're beginning to bring this thing and be a co-creator. And if I can tell anyone this evening anything, and that is to be a co-creator, right, with divinity, right? Be a co-creator, because you are a co-creator. You know, when you make food, that is a creation so that you can eat and give yourself life, you know, and it took life to get that life. Whether it be the cow, right, if you eating that, or whether you eating the plants, and it took life from somebody that going to go pick that, right, or someone to plant that. And so we're co-creators, brother. Is there any last words that you would like to bring to everyone this evening?
First of all, I just want to thank you for this opportunity just to talk and share my story. I would just say, just as we are on this journey of evolution, just to continue to find yourself, be yourself, and then let other people do the same. And I feel like that's where we love ourselves enough to not place judgments on other people so that they can find their own way. Because what I don't want to happen is that we become the very thing that we despise. And so in the way to do that is to find yourself, be yourself, and then let other people do the same.
Don't become the people that you despise. You could take that same energy, right? And how people will say church hurt. You could take that thing where they talking about church hurt, and I'm telling people, I'm not hurt. I'm redeemed.
Yeah.
I'm not hurt by the church. And they can take that same energy, and then you can use that. A lot of people, you know, they'll go towards atheism, and they'll go towards pagan religions and things of that nature after they leave the church, and still yet they'll become deeply religious within this.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can become whatever you want. I think all of us are on a journey of discovery, especially when it comes to spirit. You're on this journey, but love is the answer. Agape love, absolute love, ultimate love. And when we reach a level of ultimate love, moving out of non-duality, moving into a space of just being and knowing.
Absolutely.
Right? Taking that deep breath in, holding it. When you get to those moments and releasing. And so what I usually like to do, sir, is a lot of times I like to be a blessing, and I would like to have your Cash App so that I can be a blessing to you and my people can be a blessing to you. I thought I had it, but I think I have it on another screen. Is it pretty easy for me to post?
It's just my first name and last name, $TUS
TUSGLENN.
That is correct.
TITUSGLENN.
Yes, sir.
All right. That right there, my friends, is Brother Titus. He is a active coach, sound healer, right? And
Absolutely.
working on his certification, if you will, in ordination,
Mm-hmm.
and also working on his master's in counseling.
Mm-hmm.
He's a father of 4 kids,
Yes, 4.
right? And uh and I would say you co-parent, right? Basically.
Yes. Yes, we co-parent.
So he's in a co-parenting situation. So I put that up there, and I'm going to start it off and make sure that, because I appreciate you and your time, and man, it's such a blessing for me. You know, I was sitting there watching a video, and there was a kid that was going to people. One of them, he was asking for hugs, and nobody would do it. And it was someone that was black that gave the guy a hug, and then he turned around and gave him $100. And there was another situation. These kids are doing this. There was another one that I seen where they went up to this man, and he was selling different items, and he had kids socks. And he went up to that man, and it was an older black gentleman, and he said, "Can I? Well, let's see, Titus. The centered heart. That's
that's under my business name, but it's Titus Glenn. That's the one. That's the right one.
okay. The centered heart.
Yeah.
All right.
It's $ Titus Glenn, but it's name's the center heart.
All right. We want to just make sure. All right. Pushing that through. But the last one I seen was this young American African gentleman, older, and he had some socks, and the guy was like, "Man, I know my daughter needs some socks, and I don't get my check. Can I get some socks?" Man, looked at him, gave him a sock. He was like, "Man, just take him. You good, brother?" And then he was about to get in the car. He went back. He was like, "You know what, man?" Got in there, and he said, "Just take all these socks. Just take them, brother." And the kid turned around and said, "You know, I was just waiting. I just wanted to see somebody do this." And he gave him $1,000. And that man wept.
Wow.
He wept. And I'm like, that $1,000 rocked that man's world.
Absolutely.
And I was like, that's what I want to do. How they say it's better to give than receive.
Absolutely.
And I love giving. Even though we don't give to the church anymore, like that.
Right.
And we could still give to causes and give to people and give to things that really make a difference.
Absolutely.
Love you, brother. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All y'all for being here and attending. Let's see if we got any last comments. Miss Dolores, awesome program tonight. Yes.
My pleasure. Can I invite them out to my event that I'm having?
Absolutely. Yes. Let's do that right here. Check this out.
So I want to invite everybody out. I'm having an event August the 18th called Sound Bath and Hymns, and I'm incorporating hymns and deconstructing them and putting in different languages to help you go inward. So if that's up your alley, just come hang out with me. The link is in my bio on all social media.
All social media, so Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah, Titus Glenn social, Titus Glenn official, or you can just go through event and type in Titus Glenn Sound Baths.
You guys got that? I hope you got that. I think, and then just go check his other stuff out also, because he's got some Beautiful stuff on there. I thank you. This was amazing.
Yes, sir.
I hope you truly enjoyed it.
I did. I did.
This was fun.
It was.
One of my dear buddies there, Mr. Ruben.
Rich.
Ruben, thank you so much.
Okay, Ruben.
Miss Stana, go within so that you don't have to go without.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for attending. I will definitely be back next week. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Miss Dorothy, you know we will be talking. Miss Deidre.
Yeah. Thank you all.
You guys are 100 truly amazing. I thank you so much for can attend this right here. Everybody, all my fans, friends, family, expanded conscious family. Dorothy Gross is First Lady. My father's pastor, Charles Gross, Watson Memorial Church of God in Christ, Parsons, Kansas. And this is my mother. She tapped in and tuned in. I don't think she rebuked me too much. My mama is so loving, though.
That's what's up.
I could go slap somebody in the face and she'd be like, why you do that?
Wow. Love it. Love it.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you back, of course, next week, right? All right. Bye-bye.